Hello little buns, it is Steph. Welcome back to my home. Today I want to talk to you about something that's bothered me for a long time. Sort of. I also want to help you out a little bit. I have been in a very unhealthy relationship. I might even go as far as to say it was abusive. It wasn't a romantic relationship, it was a friendship. And it got me to a place where I felt worthless and I felt useless and I felt stupid and I felt basically I did not value myself at all and I felt terrible. And it happened so slowly and so, I had no idea it was happening. I had no idea that it was this person contributing to my life in this way and that it was this person making me feel this way. I didn't even realize I was feeling this way. I didn't realize that I was less productive, I was less happy, I was less engaged. There were so many things that were wrong in that situation. And I want to give you guys the tools and the resources to be able to notice when you're in that situation and to be able to get out of it. So let's talk about unhealthy relationships. Hi Poots. Are you the star of the video? Look at you. Are you the star of the video? I don't know if you guys can see her, but she's visiting. She's being a cutie goober goo. She's a cutie boo with you. Aren't you a good girl? Good. Okay. Hi Poots. Hi, sweetie. I'm working right now, booby. I'm trying to get my notes open. No friendship and no relationship, whether, no matter what the nature of it is perfect. There is no such thing as a perfect, that doesn't exist. That's just not real. And I feel like a lot of media portrays, especially like best friends and things, to be very infallible. And you have to make them happy. You have to, don't rock the boat. Don't speak up for yourself if they call you stupid. Problem. It's those kinds of portrayals of any kind of situation or any kind of person in media that usually leads to a problem in real life, because we assume they're going to be like what we see on TV all the time. And your best friend it's just not going to be like that. I haven't had a situation where it's been like blissful and perfect since high school, and I think when I was in high school with my best friend, I was controlling and I was a bit of a jerk. If it looks perfect, you're probably being a bit of a jerk. Don't take that to heart, that could be inaccurate, but I'm just saying, think about your relationships and understand that if they are not perfect, that's okay. That does not mean it's unhealthy. And if they are perfect, maybe there's something not being talked about, because there should be a healthy amount of disagreement about things that are reasonable. Obviously, if your friend thinks that, black people should be murdered en masse, then that's not a disagreement. That's a moral flaw in their character, and you should not be their friend, okay? Cool. Glad we agree on that. Very glad. If your friend's a racist, don't be friends with them. It's not excusable behavior, okay? Disagreements are totally okay. You think this artist is not talented and this person thinks the artist is the most talented artist in the world. It's okay to disagree on things like that, where it's not a moral problem and it's not a situation where life and death, you know what I mean? You can disagree on those things. The problem lies where, you don't let each other like different things. You don't let each other be different. You don't let each other, or, sometimes you might not let each other be the same. In my situation, I had a friend that, when I tried to do something that I had a very long-term interest in and something that I'd done for a long time, but it was something that they did frequently. And when I would do it, it made them almost like defensive, like it was theirs and they owned it. And how dare I intrude? A lot of what that relationship felt like for me was me trying to stay out of the way, and that's not okay. I felt like I was supposed to be the hype man, or I was supposed to be the yes person for this friend, and that's just not okay. I consciously did not have a problem with it. I was like, okay, yeah, I'll bend over backwards to make this person happy and to leave them alone and just be there when they need me, but that's just not cute, because I wasn't getting the support that I was giving them. And then, in a situation where I brought that up, where I expressed that I was having a lot of anxiety and I felt like I felt like the support was one-sided. I felt like I wasn't getting help like I was providing to that friend at a time. They shut me down and they made me feel guilty for bringing that up. They made me feel like I was being a nuisance and that I was being dramatic, and that wasn't all right. Healthy friendships should have a two-way support system. It should be you support your friend supports you back. It should not be you constantly or them constantly coming to you and asking you and sitting at your feet and begging you for, what can I do to make you feel better? Obviously that's okay once in a while. But if you are the only person doing that in a situation, if it's not two-sided, if it's a one-sided relationship, that's a problem and it's not healthy. Likewise, in the same situation where I felt very shut down and ignored and just not listened to, your friends should want to hear what you have to say. Your friends should want to know how you feel. They should want to experience things like that with you. And if you're in a situation where you don't feel like that person wants to make an effort to connect, I don't think that's two-sided. And of course there are certain situations where people might not be able to connect in a way that other people might be able to, and that is okay. Every friendship is different, every person is different. So do not apply this giant generalized view of what an unhealthy relationship is to every single person who might not be exactly like you, because that's not going to be accurate 100% of the time. But if that person repeatedly has not cared for you, has not cared about how you feel, has not shown interest in you as a person, and is just using you to, you know, support themselves, no matter what situation is happening with them, that's just not really a healthy relationship for you. So why are you there? Maybe you feel like you have an obligation or a responsibility for this person, and it's possible that you do if they are your child or maybe a romantic partner going through a very, very hard time. But even then, if somebody's going through a very, very hard time and they're treating you like absolute garbage, you don't have to deal with that. You might feel responsible for somebody, but it does not mean that you are, unless they are literally your child, okay? Or you are a legal guardian or a legal caretaker of somebody. But in a situation, like most situations, that's not the case. Now, in my situation where I was in this unhealthy relationship, I said this earlier, but I didn't really realize that I was being treated this way, because it was so slow. And you know, that friendship started in a very, very healthy, very wonderful place, and we were very close. And then over time it deteriorated and it became something so toxic and so unhealthy and so unhappy. And it happened so slowly that I didn't really notice it changed. And sometimes things do change. You know, just because the friendship was at one point wonderful does not mean that it's wonderful right now. And that does not mean that you have to stick it out just because it was once good. That's not real. I know that you see that on TV and movies sometimes where they, you know, they stick through the hard times and then everything's good after. And you can stick through the hard times, but it might never be good again. It might never become friendly again. It might never become loving again. That's just not always going to happen. If you do stick around and it becomes great again, then great. I'm very happy for you. But sometimes that's not what happens. And I want you to feel like you can get out of those situations, or you can leave if that's the situation. And of course there are many layers to this, and it might be a situation where you can't leave if it's a family member or something, and I don't have advice for that. I don't know what it's like to be reliant on somebody in an unhealthy relationship. And you know, if you guys have resources for somebody that's in a situation where they can't really help themselves like that, please in the comments let me know what's up. I'm also gonna ask on Twitter and try to put some links in the description box for resources like that, so you can get some help of some kind. But I'm talking about a situation or a friendship where you're not reliant on each other, where you're not financially dependent on somebody. For example, you're not living with them. You don't have to stick with them. You don't have to. They're not your responsibility. They are a grown adult, and they may have some problems, they may have some issues, they may have, you know, something they need help with, but if you are not able to help them, you don't have to keep trying. You don't have to. And I don't know if that's going to sound evil, but I really don't think it is. Because if it's at a point where it's affecting your life and it's bringing you down, not even just a little bit, it's not affecting your mood, but it's destroying you and it's making you feel worthless and useless, you can't put somebody else ahead of you unless they're literally your child, okay? Okay? Like, I hope you understand the severity of the situation that I was in and how badly I was feeling. And you know, I hope that you can reflect on some of the friendships that you have that might not be making you happy. And if they're not making you happy, that's one thing. It might not mean they're unhealthy. It might just mean that they're stagnant. You know what I mean? It might just be boring, which is another whole situation. But if there's a situation where you feel totally disrespected and not valued, and you bring this to their attention and they shut you down, cut them off. They're not worth it. They're not worth your time. They're not worth your effort. They're not worth your energy, not worth your emotion. Not worth it. Until next time, just remember, you are a complete individual on your own. You do not need another person to make you whole, okay? That includes friendships or romantic relationships. You are whole on your own, okay? And you know, maybe you don't feel great right now. That does not mean you're not whole, okay? I love you so much. Thank you for coming to visit me. Oh my gosh. Okay, I love you so much. Bye. I felt like that was slow motion this time. Felt like I was like, I don't know.